الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيعنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد. Respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, my young friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us the opportunity to witness this beautiful day this blessed day of Friday and this blessed day of Yawm al-Arafah, the day of the Hajj. Of course, for the people who are performing the Hajj, this is the most important day of their journey. Yet also, Hajj, it still has its special virtues, and particularly because of the fact that it falls on a Friday, it makes it even more. I do want to apologize to the online delay in getting started. Same thing happened at the time for Salat al-Jama'ah as well. We have challenges, of course, today with technology and internet connections, and therefore it has been taking some extra time to try to circumvent some of the challenges, and perhaps the quality of the stream may not be very good as well. But nonetheless, we are trying our best. Alhamdulillah. Our brothers and sisters, today, inshallah, Maghrib Adhan will be at 8:53 p.m., inshallah, and we will be having Salat al-Maghrib here at the masjid, inshallah, 5 minutes later. Everyone is welcome to join us for iftar. We have dates and water, of course, and also a potluck iftar. Also, anyone who would like to join with some food to share with their family, for their family, and for approximately for some other people, for about 10 people or so. It doesn't have to be a full meal, but some, inshallah. So please do join us. It's available. Still, there's no registration. You just come, inshallah, with whatever you can, and we'll join together in the blessing of breaking the fast together, inshallah. As you can imagine, this is a very special, very blessed time, particularly being Friday, and we know this time between Asr and Maghrib is very special, and especially considering that it is the day of Arafah as well. It again adds to the blessings and the elevated and blessed nature of this day. My brothers and sisters, as we know, the Hujjaj, people who are the people who are performing Hajj, who have performed Hajj, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept them from them. They are on their way now to Muzdalifah, or they're spending the night rather in Muzdalifah night, and inshallah they will be heading to Mina, back to the tents in Mina, inshallah, once the sun rises, inshallah. One of the things that they will be doing in Mina is they will be pelting the location of the where well, the pillars of shaitan, you can say, right, the spots where the shaitan had appeared to try to discourage Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam from the hair, but the sacrifice of the animal is an integral part of this journey and of this day. So today, inshallah, let us share briefly some of the guidelines with regards to the udhiyah, with regards to the qurbani, so that we understand what we are doing and we make sure that we are doing it properly, right? Because the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the deen that is a deen of fitrah, which is according to the natural disposition of human beings in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it is also a deen of wisdom as well. So everything that we do and everything that we are asked to do, that we are prescribed to do in our deen, has meaning and it has a purpose. Now, sometimes, we may not fully understand what the wisdom is. We may not fully be able to comprehend what the meaning is, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has established this deen for us, and He is the most wise and the most knowledgeable, and He knows exactly why everything is important and why we need to do everything that He has commanded us to do. So we may sometimes understand that wisdom, sometimes we may not understand that wisdom. But nonetheless, it is important for us to understand and believe that everything that we have been commanded to do or that we have been taught to do is for good reason. And all the guidelines are there also for particular reasons, right? Whether we understand them or not, of course, we try to understand them, but we may not always be able to fully understand them. So, of course, the Eid of Adha known around the world by the sacrifice of the animals, right? The Qurbani, the Udhiyah. This is something which is well known around the world. The one thing that I think sometimes that concerns me a little bit is that perhaps we are losing touch with this aspect of Eid al-Adha, right? Because at the end of the day, it is the Eid of sacrifice, right? It is an integral part of this Eid and of this celebration and of this day. Yet it is becoming either harder for people to do the sacrifice themselves, and that is the case for those even who want to do it. It's becoming more and more challenging. It has become too easy, right? In that we send money, we send an order, and somebody else takes care of our sacrifice, which is permissible, right? If you trust the person who's doing it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that legally. Technically, there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of the spirit of Eid al-Adha, right, that is something that we are starting to lose touch with slowly and slowly and slowly. So it's important to continue to talk about this and also to find opportunities to do the udhiyah, to do the qurbani ourselves if we're able to. If we're not able to at least realize and recognize and remember what this Eid and that the sacrifice of the animal is a integral part of this celebration of this Eid. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, Zayd ibn Arqam radiallahu anhu relates that the companions, they said, قُلْنَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ مَا هَذِهِ الْأَضَاحِي, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is this act of sacrifice? What is this sacrifice that we are taught to, that we do for Eid al-Adha? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, Sunnatu abikum Ibrahim alayhi salam. It is the sunnah, it is the way of your father Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he says, قال قلنا فما لنا منها. He answered, he says that we said, what do we get out of it? Okay, so the sacrifice that we do, what do we get out of it? Okay, so they were curious and they wanted to know, they wanted to understand the religion better, and they wanted to understand some of the wisdoms or some of the reasoning behind the action. So they said, what do we get out of it? So the Prophet ﷺ answered, بِكُلِّ شَعْرَةٍ حَسَنَةٍ, a reward for every hair. A reward for every hair sacrificed. قُلْنَا وَالصُّوفِ, and what is the reward for animals with wool? What about wool? If you're sacrificing a sheep, right, it has wool instead of strands of hair. So the Prophet ﷺ said, بِكُلِّ شَعْرَةٍ فِي الصُّوفِ حَسَنَةٍ, a reward for every fiber of wool. Okay, so we understand that at the very least, regardless of the physical benefits of meat and giving and sharing it and all of those things, spiritually for the person who is offering the sacrifice, at the very least we understand two things from this hadith. That number one, it is an important sunnah, It is the sunnah of our father Ibrahim alayhi salam, our grandfather Ibrahim alayhi salam, which was followed by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So it's a double sunnah, right? It's a double sunnah, meaning it's a sunnah of two at least. And for the person who offers the sacrifice, right, we learn from this hadith a great reward. Why is the reward great? Because how many hairs are there on each animal that is sacrificed? If you think about a goat, if you think about a cow, it's actually a lot of hair, right? Because I remember we would have like cow feet, right, cooked afterwards, and sometimes the hair wasn't burned off properly, and there would even be pieces of hair in the food, which wasn't very pleasant. But there's that much hair that it's hard to get rid of it, and even when you cook, sometimes it'll end up in the food, right? So that's how much it is, especially like on a large animal like a cow. And there's a reward for every single hair, right? And there's a reward for every single strand of wool. So you can imagine how much reward there is for the person who is offering the sacrifice. Aisha radiallahu anha relates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam called that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Ma amila adamiyyun min amalin yawm an-nahr ahabba ila Allah min ihraq ad-dam." That a person does not perform any action, or there's no other action on the day of sacrifice that is more than the shedding of blood of sacrificial animals. It doesn't look very nice. There's blood all over the place, and the animals are, getting slaughtered and sacrificed. Okay, but the purpose, right? The purpose here is not to say that is a pleasant sight. Just that having, mess or having blood flowing is something which is below Allah, but rather, what does it represent? It represents that people have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It represents that people value the sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam. They value the sunnah of Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah alayhi wa sallam. It means that people have value for the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in their hearts they look to these opportunities and the times when they are commanded to do something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told them to do, and they do it. So that symbolizes the love that people have for the respect that they have for the Quran, for the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and this is an action which is beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day. Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us in the Quran, Surah Al-Hajj, in ayah number 37, لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ كَذَلِكَ سَخَّرَهَا لَكُمْ لِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَبَشِّرِ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that neither their meat nor blood reaches Allah. Right? So sacrifice is done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like the meat is going to go and when we present it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to benefit from it in some way, or that the blood is going to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be happy with that. No, right? The meat does not reach Allah, the blood does not. It is your piety, right? Taqwa that reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Because Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us to do something, and people do it because they value the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they have consciousness and mindfulness and reverent fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to make Allah happy. They don't want to do anything which is displeasing to Allah. So it is the taqwa that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has subjected them to you. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has subjected the animals to you, so that you may proclaim the greatness of Allah He has guided you to, and just give good news to the good doers, right? So the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has did the animals to us, what does that mean? It means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us authority and superiority to keep animals, to tie them, to keep them in captivity, right? To keep them in farms, to keep them in barns, to own them, and then to take their lives for our food, for our needs. Right? Imagine if a cow and a goat and a sheep had equal rights as a human being. that you could not tie them, you could not own them, you could not kill them, right? You wouldn't be able to benefit and get the meat and even get benefit like milk and other benefits from animals, right? If they had equal rights as human beings, but they don't. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the human being having more rights and more authority, and then made the animals subjected to the or subjected the animals to the human beings. Now, of course, it means we have to treat them kindly and take care of them nicely and not hurt them unnecessarily and make them, pain them unnecessarily, and or treat them and actually there's whole rules regarding animal welfare in Islam. So it's not that animals are not cared for at all, right? We should take care of the animal, right? Even for the udhiyah, the animal, that we develop a bond with it. Now we can't do that here, but in many countries, people buy the animal beforehand. They don't buy it, they don't see it for the first time on the day of Eid, right? They see the animal before, right? Sometimes it's almost like a pet, right? So when they sacrifice it, they have similar feelings that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam must have had when he was commanded to sacrifice his son.